And we are live. This is Throwing Hands on the ASAP Sports Network, and I am Syed here with my co-host Scotty Swanger. How you doing, Scotty?
Man, I'm good, man. It's been a quick, fast week at work, so we're ready to rock.
Ready to go. So yeah, just want to jump right into it. We've had some great fights recently, especially in the UFC, UFC 271. Some great talking points from that fight night. Obviously, a great overall fight card. What's your initial thoughts on just the evening as a whole?
Uh, as a whole, man, they're entertaining, but I need to ask you something off the jump. Am I the only one that thought the Whitaker fight was closer than it looked?
Oh no, I thought it was quite close myself. Yeah, I agree with that. I wish he'd done a bit more with those takedowns. I wish he really landed some ground and pound or whatever. But yeah, it's just unfortunate. They didn't really count for as much as I thought they would have. And even in the striking, I thought he'd done really well considering what happened last time.
Yeah,
Um,
it was one of those I was worried, like, what do the judges really see? Because we've seen those go, hey, this guy sees it completely different than the other two. Now we've got a draw or whatever. I honestly thought it could have happened.
it's one of those ones. It's that funny myth in MMA where when it's a champion, they say they have to really beat the champion
Right.
to be able to get the decision. Uh, we all know it's really a myth, to be honest, and that shouldn't exist, to be honest. And even Daniel Cormier recently he was talking about this that he hates the fact that that exists because it causes issues, like you're saying. It's a lot closer than people are making out. And there is an argument there for Whitaker winning, especially the people who know what they're talking about in the sport. They can see that absolutely, like Adesanya. I mean, it's just popped in my head. It's not actually to do with that fight, but I've got it written down. I was going to mention it later on, but it's just popped in my head, so I want to mention it now. What is Adesanya going to be like against an opponent like Chimaev? In your opinion? Someone with that crazy kind of grappling and
Well,
that,
we see he can get taken down, but he was able to get up. That's a different monster right there. That's a
yeah,
different, and I think he knows it.
yeah,
You could tell by the call out after the fight, there was no mention of his name, and I think that was for a reason.
yeah. I mean, Whitaker was able to take him down. He's not naturally a trained wrestler, is he? He's a guy who's worked on it later on in his career. And might I add, he's really developed his game
Yeah,
from the last meeting with Adesanya. Huge improvements, huge improvements. Hat off to Whitaker and what he done. But yeah, Adesanya, I think he's starting to show more flaws and just trying to win on points, just trying to do enough to win. Because I can see he's capable of a lot more, and it's not sad to see, but for me, disappointing. In his prime, he's not trying to really go for those finishes, those great finishes we want to see from a champion. He's kind of coasting and just doing enough to win
I get
at
it.
times.
I get it, but I mean, you're part of a local promotion, right?
Yeah,
You see it all the time. These guys want to do enough. Hey, man, and I know if I get it done, I'm getting paid regardless. So I take a chance. I get it. I mean, it makes sense, but that's not what the fans want to see. But
exactly.
it's not my pocket. It's not my check.
Yeah, and it's because the way Adesanya markets himself, obviously, he's like the next coming of Anderson Silva and stuff like that. Yeah, obviously, Anderson Silva passed the torch to him, all that kind of stuff for that kind of style in MMA. But we're not really seeing the same kind of performances. Like Anderson Silva early on, throughout, to be honest, he was always spectacular, even in the end of his career. So, yeah, so like he's definitely, I'm seeing a lot of holes in his game. And the next couple of challengers, obviously, the key one that I'm going to move on to next, it's Jared Cannonier. Do you think he should get a title shot next?
I mean, he's the only top five guy that he hasn't fought. Who I think you've got to let him at least get that opportunity, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, his performances have been phenomenal. What did you think of the fight between Derek Brunson and him?
Man, I watched it. Actually, watched it back. He struggled with the wrestling for a second. He did,
Hmm.
but in that second, he was able to battle back. Like I've had enough, and once he got him down and was able to throw some elbows, he was good. But the wrestling again, I mean,
Yeah,
it's an issue on that side too. So what are him and Izzy going to do now?
yeah.
They
What a
play no
great
takedowns?
finish as well.
Yeah,
Great
like,
finish from him.
right. But they play no takedowns now. Like they're just gonna stand and bang for
Yeah,
5 rounds,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
which is
yeah.
what
Exactly.
we like to see that anyway.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And Derek Brunson as well. He was on a phenomenal run there, phenomenal run. And if he won that, he would definitely be the next in line as well. But I think, what do you think of Connor versus Adesanya? Very interesting matchup.
I think Izzy's that guy. You mentioned Anderson Silva earlier. I think he's that guy at his weight class that until he loses, he's unbeatable. And he's been
Hmm.
on this streak. You're gonna have to beat him before anybody realizes that he's unbeatable. And I think Whitaker had a chance to do it Saturday. It just was 12 rounds too short, in my opinion. But um, I don't want to say he walks through Cannonier, but I think he does what he has to do to win.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
I'm almost to the point where if it's time for Chimaev, he may move back up and say the heck with that dude because that's just a
Yeah.
different people now.
How many more fights? Obviously, it's quite hard for Chimaev to actually even get a fight.
Right.
Um, Obviously scheduled with Gilbert Burns, but I think that did that fight get taken away? I can't even actually remember.
I don't remember. I like
I
that
don't.
fight as well, but I don't think it's happening anymore.
Yeah, I didn't think it. I think it got taken away. How many more fights do you think Chimaev will have to win to actually get a title shot? I don't think that many because they'll want to put him in there quite
Well,
soon.
I think he's so scary. It's hard to find another guy to give him, hey, let's get another win and we'll get you a title shot. They can't find
Yeah,
anybody, and I don't
nobody
blame them.
wants. Yeah,
I don't think like the champ would be real excited about it because there was no mention of his name at all. So I don't know. You have to find some poor dude to take a fight with him just to get another win. I guess I don't know what they're going to do with him.
yeah, yeah. It's an interesting situation with guys like Chimaev, because he's such a unique, one of a kind of fighter.
And I think he
He's
sells himself well. He sells himself really, really well. But for whatever reason, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it on the local level. Like you've got these guys. I'm not fighting this guy for chump change. I need a ton of money to fight this guy. And when is enough money enough to fight a murderer? You know what I mean?
absolutely, yeah, and he has that reputation amongst elite fighters, which is really crazy to see a guy where no one literally wants to fight him. So yeah, I mean, he's absolutely a champion in the making. Particularly with his striking and his grappling is just on an insane level. But yeah, next I just wanted to talk about Tiavasa's phenomenal KO victory against Derek Lewis. Two top heavyweights going at it. It was UFC 271, obviously. What did you make of the bout?
I'm always a big Derek Lewis fan, if for no other reason, the post-fight interviews. But
Yeah,
anytime you fight a guy that will drink a beer out of a shoe, you know he's going to be tough. Like he's in the category with Mark Hunt. He's just going to take punishment and take punishment and take punishment. And I think a lot of people wrote him off just because he's built like me. He ain't this big banger, Buffalo can do a lot like Derek Lewis, but the dude is tough as nails.
yeah. Oh, yeah. What did you think of the bout, especially round one? Very tense, and the crowd are on their feet. Honestly, watching that, seconds away from either guy getting knocked out. Derek Lewis obviously had the advantage, was able to pressure Tiavasa back and land some beautiful shots. One uppercut in particular that landed flush. I thought Tiavasa was going to go out there, but he managed to hold on. He managed to hold on, and in round two, I mean, at first instance, that elbow that actually landed, it didn't look as bad as it actually was. But then in the replay, I saw just the way that elbow was one of those ones that don't need to be too flashy or look like they're too deadly. Just they land flush and clean on the button, and it just switched his lights out. I couldn't believe that, to be honest. Just
I missed
completely
it.
switched Alex, honestly.
I missed it live, and I saw the replay, and I was like, oh, that like he legit got him. But with every first round of every heavyweight fight, everyone's like, one punch can do it, and everyone's on the edge of their seat. And when he landed ate those 5 or 6 against the fence, we're like, surely this is over. But he stormed
Absolutely.
through it, and we're like,
Yeah.
it's gas tank time now because he just threw everything he had, in those last 5 or 6 punches, and whoever comes out and lands in the second is over with, and he just happened to get called that elbow, which was a nasty, nasty elbow. But with two guys that size, man, it's not unless they pull we're going to dance around for 3 rounds. Somebody's going to sleep every time. Those two guys are going to come throw bombs. They're not trying to wrestle. They're not trying to do any of that stuff. And that's what everybody wants to see. But for Derek Lewis to lose at home again, it kind of hurt my heart a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunate, really, because I'm a big Derek Lewis fan myself. I was sad to see him lose, especially after he's come back in his last fight, and now obviously he's lost to Tiavasa. Props to Tiavasa, though. He's really had a great run on his second kind of run in the UFC. It's crazy to see, but he was cut not long ago, and like he's ready to be cut. I beg your pardon, and then he's just been on a tear ever since, and his confidence is just growing and growing. What do you see for the future of Tiavasa in the UFC?
And I was reading something the other night. I think they're saying he might be one fight away from a #1 contender. He may fight the winner of the Volkov fight coming up.
Yeah.
If he gets that fight, then it could be up there.
No, yeah, absolutely. He's looking really good. We're going to see some great things from him in the near future, and he's young, very talented, very, very talented fighter, and he seems to have learned early in his run in the UFC, which is good to see. So the next thing I just wanted to talk to you about, Scotty, was it's not actually about UFC 271. I want to move on to Islam Makhachev's replacement opponent, because it's reported that Benil Dariush, I beg your pardon, is out, and Bobby Green has been added to that card, UFC Fight Night, February 26th against Islam Makhachev. What do you think about that matchup?
I love Bobby Green. Bobby Green is a stud. He always is going to entertain. It's tough though. Like you're going against a guy that's got 9 straight wins, I think it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's tough. And then, hey, this guy's got 9 straight wins, and he's buddies with Khabib. So now you're looking at. I know what this guy's going to do. I know what I have to do to stop it, but can you? That's the question, because everyone did the same thing with Khabib. Everybody was like, "Oh, I know he's going to wrestle me. I know what to do." How'd that work out?
Yeah, exactly. And Bobby Green, very game to jump in and give Islam Makhachev an opponent, because again, it's very difficult to find an opponent for Islam Makhachev. Not a lot of people want to fight him. I'm sure Dariush has a good reason for pulling out of the bout. That would have been a brilliant fight in itself, but this will be great to see on the feet what Bobby Green can pull off in those little pockets of chaos he creates with that mixture. Yeah, sorry, what were you going to say?
3 significant strikes on Saturday. That's Nick Diaz numbers. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Very Mayweather-esque boxing style he uses in MMA. Very effective. Yeah, he uses his shoulders to deflect shots and his elbows. It actually works really well for him. Very unique style in MMA. Actually, I think he's the only one. I can't think of anybody who's got that kind of style, the way he uses his boxing. Very unique. And like you said, Nick Diaz style with the boxing and his stand-up and his mannerisms as well, with his attitude. Very Diaz-like. Awesome fighter. Very game. I think he's going to make it a lot more of an interesting fight compared to what Dariush would have done. It's going to be a very, very action-packed 5 rounds. But do you see it going the distance, or do you see Islam getting him out of there?
Man, it's so tough. I mean, I tell all my guys that fight for me, even if they're jiu-jitsu guys, the fight starts on the feet. You've got to be able to impose what you want to impose. Do I think he can stand and throw punches? Yeah, but I think if he gets on his back against a guy like this, I think it's a pretty quick night, to be honest. But I would like to see him make it competitive. That's just a
Yeah,
tough one to take on. But 2 weeks notice?
yeah, exactly, exactly. So game, so game. But again, that's kind of how Bobby Green works. He likes short notice fights. So I don't know if it'll work in his favor. But I think yeah, he's nice and fresh. He went 3 rounds. It didn't take too much wear and tear. He didn't really take much damage, to be honest, against Hasparat. But yeah, interested to see that because Bobby Green obviously he knocked out Alia Quinta. He beat Nasparat Hasparat just there, and he had a really good fight and showing against Rafael Fazayev. He lost that fight, but it was honestly really close, and you could have went either way. But a really, really top showing against a tough fighter in Fazayev, who now is touted to go on and do big things, you know. So
Right.
Bobby Green, you know, tough guy, and I'm really excited to see this fight. But
I
next,
wish he would have a
yes,
whole. I wish he would have a whole camp because my concern is
yeah,
that the
yeah,
Ayush fight was going to be number one contender fight. So
hmm
does that not put Bobby Green as if he wins number one contender?
Well, I'd hope so. You
But if
deserve it.
but if he loses, well, I only took it on 2 weeks notice. Let me run it back on a full camp.
Yeah, well, there you go. So that's the thing. The opportunities open up by taking these short notice fights. You're able to do that kind of stuff, which hopefully he'll get to do. So next, though, Scotty, I just want to talk about now. It's something you brought up, which really intrigued me about a regional MMA show in America, I believe, where the cage during a bout actually injured a fighter. So
I
I
think
want to ask you about this. Um, what do you know? What do you know about this story?
I think injured is an understatement. Well, I actually saw the video and what it looks like, and you've dealt with cages before, where the cage door is, where you put the bolt in to close it. It to me, it looked like the door was closed, the cage was closed, but it wasn't flush with the fence. So he got
hmm
picked up. He got picked up on a takedown, and they ran into the fence, and it looked like it hit right on where that bolt, like where the bolt, where the holder of the bolt would be. It was
Yep.
hard to tell in the video, but you can definitely see it in the pictures. I mean, he split, all the way across his head, and they had pulled back about, I know, 4 or 5 inches. I actually reached out and talked to him, and just kind of asked him how he was feeling, and he was like, "Man, I'll get my staples out next week, and I'm back in the gym the week after that," which is
Good.
crazy. So, as far as like, if he was a pro, definitely give him his purse, give him his show money, give him his win money. This was a 2-2 amateur. He's fighting for free.
Yeah, that's terrible, honestly.
And now he's paying hospital bills and getting
Uh,
staples, and I mean, he's got a regular job. Like that's tough.
Are they getting sued? The league?
I I would imagine that wasn't brought up, but we had an issue in one of our cages. We walk the cage after we build it. The commission will walk it. Well, after 15 fights and you got a main event coming up, some things may get loose. So we found a little piece of fence at the bottom that was kind of protruding out, and it just kind of moved throughout the night. Some people grabbed and moved. We were able to fix it. That stuff like that happens, but to have a big piece of metal somehow sticking out and rip you ear to ear
Nah,
almost is
that's
it
tough. That's
could have been way
crazy,
worse
man.
than this.
That's
It could have been way
crazy.
worse
That's
than what.
yeah. I mean, where was this? In some little
It was
part
in
of America
Oklahoma.
somewhere.
It was in
Oklahoma. So it's
Oklahoma.
yeah. So not the biggest state with the most regulation and like the most uh people taking it seriously because I don't know. I mean, that promoter, whoever they are, I feel really sorry for them because obviously I don't know the full side of the story, and I don't want to make judgment on them because it's not exactly their fault. But whoever's cage that is, and whoever was supposed to be setting the cage up and looking after, making sure it's suitable for competition, I mean, to me, that's horrible. That's atrocious. They shouldn't be allowed to be in the game, to be
Well,
honest.
I think there's dummy checks too. Like, we'll build the stage the night, build our cage the night before our shows. And so then the day of, we'll put padding on and make sure all our sponsors look good. And we're still walking and checking, even though we checked it the night before. But
Yeah.
the promoter came out and basically said, we feel bad for this kid. Our prayers are, to him, but we don't really know what caused it. Well, something in the cage obviously caused it. So I don't know if it could have been a quick, walk by, bump it back, and no one's ever going to know. We'll never know. But they're not coming out and saying exactly what it was.
Yeah, I mean, and then the fact that it went viral like that, and obviously you get promotions have problems all the time with officiating, with different things, a judge's decision that people don't like, and people will start blaming the promotion for it, or the referee makes a call that people don't like. You have lots of issues, but stuff like that that actually physically harms one of the competitors of that nature, whether it's a gash, a cut that wide on his head. I just there's just no coming back from that, you know.
I think a lot of these guys, they want to fight, and I want to grow my brand, and I want to get to these big, promotions. Like, you go viral for something like this, like, well, that's not exactly what I wanted to do, but it's just tough, man. And I feel bad for the kid. He seems nice enough. He'd be interested in talking on the show or whatever, but that's a tough way to go viral.
Yeah, I hope he's able to maybe get some sponsors and maybe do a a go what's it a crowdfunding kind of thing and maybe raise some money. I hope people will donate to this kid to help him out, and I hope he's able to come back. Yeah, and able to actually train again and fight again.
He said 2 weeks. He'll be back ready to go, but man,
but yeah, but that's just obviously he's just a little kid. I think he's not going to be able to. I mean, he's going to take one shot to the head, and that's going to open up. So he's going to need to be resting for a long time. Sadly,
I'm scared of every time now.
So that's the sad thing about it. Psychologically, what it does to a young athlete like that, I mean, it's going to really affect him in the future. You know, this kind of stuff, not being able to train when he really wants to and compete, and he's going to have to forcefully be out against his will. So it's like stuff like that is quite sad to hear because he's a young guy who wants to obviously compete as much as he can. But yeah, I hope him the best of luck in the future. I mean, yeah, it would be great to have him on here to talk about what happened. But the promotion, obviously, I really hope they put out a statement just explaining what's happened, etc., for their sake, to be honest. And
I've got it somewhere. I'll send it to you guys in the group when I find it because
yeah,
put out a pretty long statement.
I'd hope so. And then, to be honest, as well, people make mistakes, but I hope they resolve it with the fighter and they make it better. And I hope they resolve this issue within their organization moving forward, and they're able to, have safe cages with not bits of metal sticking out, as if this is like some kind of blood sport underground, like cage fighting stuff going on, man. I mean, I can't believe that. I actually can't believe that.
Yeah, when I saw the video, it made it worse. I mean, he dropped in the heat, and everybody's kind of looking around what happened. But I know I'll triple check my cages every time now. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. I don't know if he's doing it or not, but that's a lawsuit.
Oh yeah, you have to. I mean, you need to use someone whose cages get used a lot by a lot of big shows and they're reputable. You can't be using some like your friend's cage that he's got. You can't do that. Unless he's got a fantastic cage that he renovates and cleans and fixes, but you want a fresh cage that is safe. But yeah, really sad to see. But I mean, it's trivial to be honest. It makes you think because that should be the number one thing on the list, making sure it's safe. So it just makes you think, did anybody actually check it?
Their statement said they did and the commission, but I guess my first thought was if I'm that kid, yeah, I want to sue, but what if I want what's good for the sport? And now the only spot in my area that has a cage is going to go under because I'm suing them. That's the way my brain works is, yeah, I can make money off this while the sport's shut down here. So now I'm the bad guy. So
yep.
I don't envy that kid at all right now. I really don't, but he was in good spirits. So.
What do you think for the league? What do you think moving forward? What should they do?
Their matchmaker is going to have a hard time. I know that. Just trying to get guys in general, but they're going to have to come up with, we bought a new cage or something, because that's going to be hard to combat. I mean, you got everybody at that gym now knows you hurt my guy. We're not fighting for you anymore. His opponent is like, hey, I'm fighting this dude. His head's ripped open. I don't want to be part of that. I didn't do that. So
Yeah,
it's going to be more than just the promotion. The matchmaker is going to have to beg people to come fight, I think.
yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, but I hope they resolve it. I hope they find a way and then redeem themselves and put on a fantastic event and it's nice and safe. Because
Anywhere small shows to grow people is it's good for the sport. That's what we're all about, at least over here where I'm at. So I know they wouldn't purposely do that, but they're going to have to do some things to help re-blow that area up.
Absolutely, yep. So yeah, just next, I just wanted to move on to some boxing. I know you're too familiar with boxing. You're more of an MMA guy, but obviously you are familiar with superstar global names like people like Amir Khan. Obviously, is quite a big name in America. Kell Brook is a really big name in the UK. So they're having a huge fight this Saturday here in Manchester, England, 19th of February. Massive grudge match. Obviously, over the years, um, both fighters have known about each other, and it's been talked about when they're going to fight. They've had a rivalry since they were little kids. Amir went on to the Olympics and obviously had a great professional career. Went to America, had his name in lights in Las Vegas, fought in the MGM Grand, fought in Madison Square Garden, done it all. Kell Brook at the same time didn't really have the same kind of effect as being a celebrity and having that push. Eventually won a world title away from home against Sean Porter in America, but didn't really get the same kind of rub as Khan did. So he's always been bitter and always had a kind of jealousy towards Khan, if you like. And he's always wanted to fight Khan. And now, eventually, after years of talk, and Kell Brook's camp thinking Amir Khan doesn't want the fight and he's scared. Finally, they have the fight here, and it's coming on Saturday night, which is only obviously 2 days away, a day away. Um, what's your initial thoughts on this fight, this huge grudge match? Which honestly, Scotty, over here in the UK, this fight is blowing up, and everyone's talking about it. The press conferences were packed out, a lot of coverage going on, a lot of interviews, huge buzz for this night. What do you think about this fight?
Well, I think I'm going to ask you the same question because I don't want to sound like a dummy on here.
Yeah.
So you're over there with it. How does it end? Like how does it end? And is it a close fight? Is it competitive, or is it just a slaughter one sided?
Well, to be honest, both men are at the end of their careers. Obviously, they're not in their primes. They're 35 years old. Amir Khan obviously has the blistering speed he's known for. Not a lot of power in the shots, but he's vulnerable. That also he's very well known for. Kell Brook is a very good counter puncher. A bit more stronger than Khan, a bit more bulkier and bigger frame. A little bit slower, but very good timing with his shots. Excellent pot shot fighter on the back foot. To be honest, it's a 50-50 fight because if Kell Brook can't get Khan out of there early by knockout, Amir Khan is going to use his speed and just all night he's going to dance around Kell Brook and he will win by decision quite easily over 12 rounds, if not getting the KO late against Kell Brook. Also because Kell Brook has suffered from eye injuries in the past with his fights with Golovkin and his fights with Errol Spence. Suffered a couple of eye injuries and stuff like that, which affect his vision. And it could, a guy like Khan with that kind of blistering speed, landing jabs at will, which he will do throughout the fight, if he's able to cause that kind of injury to Kell Brook, Khan could finish him quite late in the fight at some point. I see that happening. So yeah, it's a 50-50 fight. It's a fascinating matchup. To be honest, the build-up's been incredible over here. Obviously, this isn't the biggest fight in global boxing, but in the UK right now, it's doing big numbers. the fight actually sold out. The ticket sold out in 7 minutes. So that's how. The thing is, it's a grudge match. Like technically they're both great fighters, but they are a little bit at the end of their careers. But the grudge match factor, that the fact that there's real hatred, they both hate each other's guts. Kell Brook is adamant Amir Khan has been running away from him for basically his whole career. So there's a lot of bad blood, and honestly, I can't wait to see the fight on Saturday night. I'm absolutely buzzing.
We're gonna have to watch it. But if I'm a betting man, I take your advice. Who wins?
I mean, well, I'm gonna go for Amir Khan, late KO. I'm gonna go for it. So if you want to stick money on that, fling it on Amir Khan. I think he's just a little bit fresher than Kell Brook. In the build-up with the little bits of footage that's been available, Amir Khan looks just a little bit fresher, just a little bit more on point, and he's been training, obviously, at a really good camp with really good young fighters who have been pushing him. Kell Brook hasn't been sparring with high-level fighters. He's been training and sparring with some really low-level guys, to be honest, which I was quite disappointed to see that he hasn't been sparring with high-level guys. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen on the night. But honestly, the build-up's been amazing. So I actually cannot wait. I actually cannot wait for this one. But yeah, Scotty, just to finish off tonight, because we're going to do a shorter episode, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your league. So tell us a little bit about your organization. You run an MMA organization in America. Tell us a little bit about that and how you're getting along with that.
Yeah, man. We're Attitude MMA. They've been around for a long time. I wasn't doing MMA stuff for a while. This poster behind me over here, I used to host jiu-jitsu tournaments. So this one was an all-women's tournament, and we got a really, really big following on Facebook on a live feed. So this MMA group was like, "Hey, man, we need a matchmaker. We see what you're doing. You want to come help us out." So it kind of started. We were in a bar with like 90 people, and it was all amateurs. And now, we've had, up around 2,000 at the highest. We're doing pro-am cards. So we got pros coming. We've had guys go to BELLATOR. Two of our champs went to the Contender Series. Our goal is to kind of explode our area. We want the Mid-South, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas area to grow and get out of here, and there's other promotions around here that do the same thing. I grew up going to V3, and Bryce Mitchell was one of their champs. Now he's, in the UFC, obviously, and there's a lot of good talent around here. Mm-hmm. We're just trying to get it to the big stage.
Shout out to Memphis, Tennessee, at the home of Rampage Jackson, the great Rampage. Because he's from Memphis, right?
Bryce is from
No, not Bryce. Not Bryce. I said Rampage Jackson.
Oh, yeah. I lost the feed for a second. Yeah, Rampage is from Memphis. Yeah, he's.
Yeah. Shout out to the great Rampage Jackson.
He's one of the few guys. If you hear him talk, yep, that's Memphis. I know exactly where he's from. Yeah, we love that.
Absolutely. The story of Rampage Jackson is very interesting. His actual first MMA fight, he was in the crowd, and he was asked if he wanted to fight, and he jumped in and fought and won it. And you can check that. That's actually the truth.
I told you guys about Jalil Willis that's in Bellator, right? We talked about him a few weeks ago. Well, he's from here as well, and he same kind of deal. He was selling shirts at MMA fight. Hey man, you want to come fight? He was like, yep. He got whooped, but it somehow lit him up, and now he's in Bellator, number 7 or 8, in Bellator right now. So it's funny how these things happen like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, it's crazy. I just thought of Rampage Jackson there. Yeah, he's from Memphis, Tennessee. I've always remembered that legend of MMA. Always loved him, especially in Ultimate Fighter. Anytime he appeared in Ultimate Fighter, legendary moments always on that show from Rampage Jackson and his days in Pride.
He won me a lot of money.
What's that? Sorry.
When he fought Chuck the second time in UFC, we had a house full of people, and they're all like, "Oh, Chuck's the guy. Chuck's the guy." I was like, "Let's bet," because I knew he'd beat him in Pride. I made a handful of money that night. Nobody thought Rampage would beat him but me. But his son's
Yeah.
fighting. His son's living in California, and he's fighting now too.
Great to see. Great to see. Yeah, absolutely brilliant to see. But yeah, so where can people find your league? Was it Attitude MMA? Was it?
Yeah,
Where can they find
Attitude,
it?
Attitude MMA on Facebook. Same thing on just www.attitudemma.com. We got a fight coming up April 23rd. Looking to book one more pro fight. We'll be at like 16 fights for the show. So I'm about to start. I'm sure you do that same stuff too, getting the pictures and the weigh-in numbers and heights and weights and all that stuff. So I booked this last pro fight and we'll get all that knocked out and April 23rd be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we should talk. Do you ever bring fighters over from Europe?
Well, so we're local. We're trying to grow it. Just we're trying to be smart about. We would do it. It's just it's gotta be the right fight, like to combat the cost of flying someone over. We've got to get the right sponsorship to eat that. So we're again we're when I started we were like 90 people. So we're slowly growing, but we want to get to that point. But at the same time, we also want to get our guys out of here and go, you know, to the world. We want to send our guys to Europe. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. Are any of your guys in your leagues, do they have sponsorships and things like that to maybe help them cover flights and things like that to fight on shows in Europe?
They do, yeah. A lot. You know, we've got guys that are with, you know, like we don't have guys that we don't ever sign deals exclusive to our league. We don't want to sign, hey, you're going to fight 5 fights for us. To me, that kind of holds some of these fighters back that deserve to get out of there. So we've had guys fight and then legit go to Bellator 3 weeks later. So we don't ever sign guys to exclusive deals. But we've had guys with big sponsors come through though.
No, that's great to see. That's great to see. Yeah, so maybe we can work together in the future because I run my own league over here.
Right, absolutely.
And definitely would love to bring some American fighters over here because I'm regional obviously, same as yourself. We've only done 8 events, but I've pushed guys on to Bellator, Dana White's Contender Series, and hopefully he's going to go on and get a contract, one championship, and a lot of kickboxing leagues as well because I do kickboxing as well. So like Infusion and things like that, LFA. So yeah, quite a lot of different leagues. Cage Warriors over here in Europe. So we're kind of the same as yourself, and I'm always trying to put on high level fights. For example, my last show, Chris Duncan, who fought on a Dana White's Contender Series, lost his fight. Then he came and fought on my show, won by decision. So hopefully now the UFC are going to take him. Will be really good for us. So we want to bring American guys over to fight like the best Brit. We want to bring the best like Americans to fight the best Europeans. We want to do this kind of stuff. So it'd be great to work with yourself and do that kind of thing in the near future. Yeah, absolutely. And we show you really good hospitality as well over here.
Yeah, I'll talk to my guys. Man. That again, we're all about growing all the guys here. If we got to bring them over, we'll do it. But when we get off, I will show you. I'll send you a link. I've got a guy that y'all would love to have over there. I promise you. I'll send you a link. I lost you.
Yo, sorry that cut out there.
All good, all good. Yeah, I was just saying I'll send you a link. So our 155 champ is an absolute monster. If he doesn't get to UFC, in the next few months. He'll be there this year. I'll shoot you a link to his last fight.
Oh, that could be brilliant. Like a guy like him to come over and fight a big name. Because if your guy could win basically my belt on my show against a good guy from here, I can almost guarantee you, Bellator or the UFC would sign him straight away. Because we're quite a good feeder league ourselves, especially when a good guy's fighting. Yeah,
he's 8-2 right now as a pro.
nice.
I'll shoot
so
you.
I could him to fight a really nice, a tasty Brazilian would be great.
I can shoot you the link, and I'm friends with his manager, so I'll talk to him, and we'll make. I think
nice.
he's fighting an LFA fight coming up. They just canceled it. So yeah, he's with First Round. He's the First Round management guy. So
nice.
I'll see what we can do.
No problem. So we're at the end of our episode today of Throwing Hands in the ASAP Sports Network. Scotty, it's been brilliant to finally host a show with you. We are done for today. Follow ASAP Sports on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. There's so much brilliant content that they're putting out with all sports. Tiki Live, have a look at that. There's a lot of great stuff going on there. And our show, Throwing Hands, will actually be on Tiki Live very soon in the next couple of weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time. And Scotty, thank you very much. And I will see you soon, brother. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.